All right, we will go ahead and get started here. We'd like to welcome Viktor Hovland into the interview room at the World Golf Championships Dell Technologies match play. Viktor, making your second start here, 1-2 last year in group play. How do you feel coming into this week?
Yeah, I feel pretty good. Been a lot of golf lately, so I'm definitely a little bit tired. The day yesterday kind of did me well, just kind of relaxing. But match play is a fun event, and lots of things can happen. But my game feels pretty good, so hopefully I can roll in some putts.
And you're in Group 3 this week with Will Zalatoris, Cameron Tringali, and Sepp Straka. Initial reactions when you saw the group yesterday?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Obviously, 3 great players, and they've been playing some good golf. So, I mean, if you can play anyone, it's 18 holes, and this course there's a lot of risk and reward. So, it's on paper it doesn't really matter who you're playing against. You gotta play your best, and still you might get beat. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to get going and see how the matches go.
All right, we'll take some questions out here. If you have a question, we'll get a microphone to you. We'll start with Brentley right here in front.
Obviously match play this week. There's a team event at Zurich. I'm just curious if you had any ideas on maybe another format that you'd like to see played on the tour, and if there's even any room for it.
That's a good question. I really haven't put too much thought into it. I think these events are fun, but as a player, you want to try to test your game in a stroke play event, 72 holes. It's just kind of the purest form. So I like playing in those, but obviously it's nice to mix it up and play match play and do some team events. But I don't know if we should incorporate more of them or a completely different format. I don't really know, and I don't know where to fit that into the schedule. But I think those ideas are cool as well.
And then also, what do you play back home, like with your buddies? I mean, do you just play normal match play? Do you play like Wolf? Do you play? I mean, what?
We play some Wolf when I'm back in Oklahoma playing against the guys or something. But I'm not a big fan of the game because I remember in school, like shoot maybe 1 or 2 under, like shoot bogey free, but you're only making 1 or 2 birdies versus the guy that hits 1 or 2 in the crap and you're out of the hole, but then you make 3 birdies and you're sitting there with all the money. So it was a little unfair that way. But now we would play, 2-team best ball or best and worst, or mix it up a little bit. So we were able to find some different games.
We'll go over here on the aisle to Kirk, right here.
Yeah, Viktor, as an Oklahoma State golfer, I don't know if you're allowed to say anything good about a Texas golfer, but why do you think Scotty finally broke through this year? And once you win a tournament, does that just change everything about kind of how you approach your game in every tournament?
Yeah, Scotty's been, a great player on essentially all the different levels. He was a great junior golfer. Maybe didn't play as good as he wanted in college, but he had a great amateur career. And obviously on the PJ or on the Corn Ferry Tour, he won there. And out here, he's been really close for quite a while. But sometimes, it's a little bit of luck as well winning the tournament. You can play really well and put yourself in contention, but things have to go your way as well. And I think we finally saw that when he puts himself in contention so many times, you're going to win a couple. And he's got a big time game. What was the second part of the question again? Yeah. I will say so a little bit. It just gives you more belief that you can do it again. Especially, I feel like it depends on which way you win it. If you feel like you careered it and made every single putt out there to win by a shot, that's a little different. But if you feel like, hey, I kind of left some shots out there and I still kept myself in it and won the tournament, that's a little different. So I definitely feel like there's some things you can draw from your first win.
Shane?
Viktor, if somebody asked you to give them your 1 or 2 best pieces of advice for match play specifically, whether it's psychological, whether it's practical, whatever, what would you say?
One thing is, and I try to keep myself thinking this way as well, obviously expecting the other person to play well and knowing that, thinking that, okay, if I go out and shoot, it's quite a lot of wind, so I think the course would be playing a lot harder. But let's say this course, when it's no wind, it tends to play a little bit easier, and then just have the mindset that, okay, I'm probably going to have to shoot 5-6 under par to beat this guy, and kind of just focus on playing your own score. I feel like sometimes I've tried to maybe force things a little bit too much, knowing the other guy's 40 feet away and feeling like I have to stick one in there close, and then end up short-siding myself, and then he 2-putts for a win, and I make bogey instead of just playing my normal game and putting the pressure on the opponent, and instead of maybe giving it to him a couple times here and there. So it's just to kind of stick to your own game and let things happen.
And on a different topic, when you see your group draw come out, do you flag certain matches? I know the typical answer would be, oh, they're all just opponents, I have to play my best. But do any of them excite you a little bit more than others, or do you look at some like, oh, this will be fun?
I mean, not really. I think they're all going to be fun. All the different matches, they kind of live their own life. You never know what you're going to get. You might play the best player in the field, and suddenly he 3-putts a couple of holes or short-sides himself a couple of times, and which you weren't expecting. And then if you're playing the last-ranked player in the field, and suddenly he drops a few bombs on you early, and you're like, wow, I'm 3 down here. So you just never know what you're going to get in match play. So I feel like instead of trying to maybe get excited about who you're playing, instead, try to, give everyone the same amount of respect and expect that the other guy's not going to hand you over free holes.
We'll go to Brentley, then Ben, then Tim.
This match between you and Will is obviously going to be like a flusher's dream. Do you ever find yourself, maybe when you play with a guy who does one particular thing really well, like maybe paying more attention to like their game, like just like, wow, like that he hits the ball so good, or he makes everything? And is there a particular player who maybe that you've played with that really is the case?
Yeah, it's to be frank, I don't like to look too much about the other player, especially now if we're playing a match play. I'll watch the shot, but I'm not looking at, oh, his swing is like this, he kind of grips it like that, he does three or four waggles. I try to just kind of pay attention to the ball, and then I stick to what I'm doing. But you certainly pay attention if the other guy's making a lot of putts, and then as soon as he has a 6-footer to tie, you just know that he's going to make it, versus maybe having a good chance to miss it. So a couple things here and there, and if the other guy's really striping it, you don't really, as I said, you don't get your hopes up that he's going to make a mistake. So it just puts more pressure on your game, and know that you can't give the opponent anything for free. You certainly pay attention if the other guy's making putts or is flushing it.
Do you pay attention the other way if you notice a guy's struggling with something?
Yeah. If you see a guy, hook a couple tee shots, and you get to a hole that has a hard right to left wind, maybe he's more likely to miss the left again there. But if you start thinking about that on every single hole and hoping that he's going to do that, I feel like that takes away the focus on me just doing well. So instead of hoping the other guy to mess up, I try to just focus on making birdies to beat the other guy.
And then lastly, are you pretty generous in giving putts?
I would say I'm fair. Not that maybe there's anything fair or not to it. I don't know, but if it's a tap in, I'm going to give those putts. But if there's a chance the other person's going to miss it, then yeah, I'm going to have him putt it out. That's what we do normally in a stroke play event. So if the other person takes that the wrong way, then so be it.
Ben?
This doesn't apply to you currently, but Can a player play their way back into stroke play form during match play?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. It's another tournament, and I feel like, especially myself, I feel like I've played some of my best golf in match play, because sometimes I have a tendency of maybe getting a little too protective or too cautious in a stroke play event, because you know that even though every shot counts in a match play event, you're only playing one guy. Whereas in a stroke play event, you know that, okay, you know, I can't really, you know, short side myself here because I might make a double and then I might miss the cut, and, you know, it kind of starts compounding that way. So I feel like sometimes I have a tendency of being a little timid. Instead of in match play, it's all about, okay, you know, you're trying to make birdies. You're not necessarily too focused on the mistakes you might make. It's about, okay, trying to pull off the good shots. And I feel like just shifting that focus might put your mind in a state where you're more likely to perform.
So it essentially can unleash the shackles, if you will, on a guy who might be struggling?
Yeah, I could see that.
We'll go over here to Tim.
Yeah, Victor, already a short week with things starting on Wednesday prep-wise. Yesterday, I'm assuming, with tornado things going on here, you didn't get much time out there. What does that do? Does that affect the way that you prepare for something? And how does that throw off your game, maybe?
Yeah, it's I still haven't been out on the course yet, so I'm going to try to check some of it out and get going again. So it's I can't really answer that question yet because I don't know how it affects me. But I mean, last week was a very quick week, kind of similar, where, you know, we only got a couple days to prepare, and I would say generally it doesn't affect me too much. But given the Players Week was such a long week, I feel like, you know, I would have benefited from more rest going into a tournament. But sometimes it's kind of nice to only get to play 9 holes before a tournament, or to show up, hit a couple balls, and then get after it, because you're not that you're lowering your expectations, but you kind of go with it in a little different, you know, fresher mindset. It's not like you've played the course 3-4 times before you're even teeing it up, and then I don't know, you're too tired or too exhausted before the tournament even starts. So I don't know. I think it's you know, both can be good and both can be bad.
Interesting follow for you specifically, not growing up in Oklahoma, but now living in Oklahoma. Tornado watches aren't a huge deal. Here, of course, it's kind of a big deal yesterday. How did you spend yesterday? And did you ever think you'd be at a point in your life where tornado watch was something that was kind of a routine phrase for you?
Yeah, I've certainly had a couple of instances in Oklahoma where we had to take shelter and stuff. I didn't even think it was going to touch down yesterday and be so close. I had to pick up a friend of mine at the airport, and I think one of the tornadoes was about 5 or 7 miles away from there. So we definitely got hit by some rain, and it was a little scary there. But yeah, it's definitely nothing similar to Norway, that's for sure.
Any more questions for Victor? All right, we appreciate the time, Victor. Best of luck this week.